time, tag time, all the time. Come on, tag time, all the time, tag time, all the time. Come on, I take a knee, I take a kid and make him see, make him believe in chasing his dreams and destiny. Truly accept the knowledge, a part of the recipe. In order to have an impact, I first must invest in me. We sowing seeds, locally, globally, overseas. Integrity, dignity, yeah, we living by both of these. The season my players had to take a knee to COVID thieves. The police keep taking knees on our neck, how we supposed to breathe. Now look at me, I'm leading the movement like Booker T. Let's look at the aftermath when Kaepernick took a knee. When MLK took a march, Coretta Scott took a seat. I look defeat in the eyes and I declare victory. On fourth and long, I go for the gusto, that's six for me. Right when I cross the TD, I drop down and I take a knee. I'm giving God all the glory for giving the grace to me. Like I take a knee every morning and thankful for waking me. I take a knee.
Hey. Hey, when we greet the world, we want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because we're touching everybody. We are touching everybody. We're here for the podcast, the Take a Knee Transition podcast. Ready to hear some pivots and a few other things. Our format's going to be a little bit different tonight because we're going to recap a little bit. We're going to get a relationship getting a little tighter because the big things are happening out of Yorkton in Canada. Saskatchewan, we're going to be heading up there. We're going to have the big back to a relationship growing again. So we're doing right here is getting a podcast to make sure that we're embracing each other and getting everybody excited about what's to come up there. So just to introduce everything on what we're doing, we want to give a quick thank you to Coach Tutu. And what's crazy, Coach Tutu out there in Chicago, he just got done speaking to public. They got him to do public speaking in regards to helping the student athletes right there in Chicago. So his programs are being embraced statewide, and it's starting to show the effect because he's being invited to more campuses to speak to student athletes and educators along the road with that stuff. You know what's big going on right here, and we've got two of the guys with Dream Givers Project, and we want to touch base on with Coach Ty. If you could just touch base on what's going on with Project and Asura right after that real quick, just touch base on what's going on with the Nines, because what we want to do, Boyda, is when we go over, we got some packages to show you about what the Nines is all about. You know, getting rid of those 7-on-7s and really bringing good football back to the plate again. So touch base real quick, Coach Ty, and then we'll get Coach Asura to touch base on here on what we do with the Nines.
How you guys? Hi, I'm from Project. What we basically do, we just we do fundamentals and position training for offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and linebackers with the help of Coach Coco and Take a Knee. We have a program that we're running here out in Corona, California, Tuesday and Thursdays and Saturdays here at Winter Circle Athletics Academy, and on Sundays at Los Alamitos High School. We do all the fundamentals and position training with our youth kids and our high school kids. We've been fortunate enough to take some of these kids on college tours and things like that, and educate them on the steps of how to get into college. So that's just a little overall view of what we do with Project Elite on the elite side. And I'll have Coach Asura speak a little bit more on our Project Nines.
Awesome. Go ahead on, Asura. We want to hear about that.
Yeah. Hey, how everybody doing? Thanks, Coco, for the opportunity for us to share the Nines with everybody. It's pretty much a 9-man football. What we're doing with that is including the big boys, bringing the big boys to the party this time with the skill guys, not separating them from the team to go do their own thing with 5-on-5 and stuff like that. We love 5-on-5, but it is more generated towards the pass protection, no runs or anything. So we thought it'd be a great fit for the linemen to get in there and work with the skill guys, make their reads, and for the quarterbacks, they get the pressure. At the same time, the quarterback goes down, do their check downs, and actually go through their reads on everything they do. Linebackers, now they got to step up instead of just dropping back. Same goes for the DBs and wide receivers, got to block and things like that. There's a lot of we try to keep it close as possible to the 11-man football, the tackle football. Um, the biggest thing is the coaches. The coaches get to get more involved in becoming a better coach or working on plays that they want to work on during the fall season. They could do it here in the spring by strategizing and see how they can get what they want to get out of this. And the biggest thing for the youth is the transition. We just think there's a gap still in youth football with playing flag football and then going straight to tackle. Um, I think this will be a great outfit for the youth that parents are still concerned about the contact at a younger age. It fits real well because now they're learning techniques uh, as they would learn in tackle football. So once they transition to tackle football, it's an easy transition. Um, so a lot of this stuff that we did on the 9-man football, the Project 9, is set towards to stay similar to 11-man football tackle. That way, transition everywhere. They don't lose a step going into the off season, going back to the fall season. Everything will flow through. They can go as a team. There's no separation there where you got kids going different places. So that's what we're doing with the nines and trying to get it out there and do big things with it. So that way it evolves with everything we're doing in the football world.
Awesome, Coach. Thanks a lot with that because if you guys really listen, it's really just football. And we really get to introduce football and get away from all the shenanigans of what some of that other stuff does. What also we do with the nines is when we bring programs in as a friendly. Coach Creek, you'll love this because when we bring them together, we get the whole O-line and D-line just to compete against each other, 5-on-5s. There's no teams against each other teams. They just line up and go. And then the linebackers will go against the running backs. The defensive backs will go against the receivers in the open field and running backs and linebackers in the red zone. Then they go. But then when we bring in the nines, Boyda, when we bring the nines in, then their teams will be able to compete against each other. And then when they do that, but it is now you just bring everybody gets to coach everybody's guys during the whole course of it. But at that very end, then you get to compete. And you get to do that. So it's pretty cool. It brings in a different atmosphere of camaraderie and then togetherness, but it also keeps competitiveness at its highest level there. So that's why we looked at that, Coach Creek, down the road. I think Laverne is the ideal place because 97% of the student athletes are probably Division III guys, and they should be heading to the University of Laverne. So we're looking at getting a few good things to happen on that campus. That way we can get a quicker look at getting student athletes to get out to that campus there, James. So that's kind of it. Yeah. So, hey, we want to thank, and we got Coach Malele on. Guys, one of the things that we like to do is there's some student athletes out there that sometimes they train and they do some great things. We started off with Coach Mia brought in a kid from St. John Bosco, Sua, and he was our very first athlete of the week for our transition podcast. So, Coach Malele, can you is he on this? Yeah. But he has an athlete that's a two-sport athlete, volleyball and football. It's his second year playing football, and his name is Jonah Tuanenga. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with the name, and also I was hoping he'd be on there. But we decided.
Yeah, I'm here, Coach.
Are you here?
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Can you talk about your student athlete? That we give him the justice that he deserves.
Right. Yeah. Now, anytime nowadays when you got dual sport athletes, it's just a good thing to see, especially with guys that are able to look into different sports and just find their way back to football. It's just within our culture. They grow up around sports, period, and they just latch on to that. So this is no different from a lot of guys that are out there doing it. This kid grew up in volleyball and football and just has excelled in both. And he's a starting quarterback for our reps organization for the 12U level, and he's also the starting setter for the Apex Volleyball Club. And this dude just, continues to exceed expectations. So a lot of it is just some of the things that you are always talking about, just with the consistency and just really understanding the intricacies as far as the play for football, and then the same format just goes through with volleyball. So this kid definitely is something that it's a name that we'll hear often as we in the coming years as he gets ready for high school.
Coach.
Jonah Tuaninga.
Oh, they're nice. Say that one more time, Coach.
Jonah Tuaninga.
Hey, we really want to thank you for sharing what you do with the kids, but more importantly, giving us the opportunity to highlight one of your student athletes, Coach. And keep doing keep doing what you're doing over there on the West Side. I think it's awesome, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
So thank you for being on. Hey, guys, as we get this thing to roll, we want to thank Tony Jefferson. Tony Jefferson re-signed with the Ravens, and right now he's in camp, getting busy, getting ready to go again. So, without that opportunity to be able to showcase things that we're doing, it would not have happened without the open heart and open mind of Tony Jefferson. Along with that, I like to also mention, as we're getting close to the big days, Father's Day is coming up. I know it's after Mother's Day, but I like to be able to show a picture of my family. Got me and the boys, and we're Padre fans. There we are. So
nice picture,
I got to show. So I'm gonna show it a little bit. And then along with that, our family's got a pretty good thing on. We got some RTG. We got our own family stuff. Boyda, I'm bringing some up because my wife wants to bring some up and share it with you guys. Craig, make sure that you're going to be able to get that. But James kind of he's addicted to it, so we're going to let James touch base on the RTG a little bit real quick.
This is like my 10th bottle of this. I literally get yelled at because I take it into restaurants with me now. But, I mean, I put it on everything. So if you're a cooker like me, you need to be ready to go. You need to get that RTG. So just real quick on that. And shout out to your lovely wife for this because this is changing my world.
Awesome. So that's RTG, ready to go right now, guys. Deletes the redundancy of looking up for all kinds of things.
Canada. You better take some to Canada.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking some right there. Right. And then we would like to end this updates on what we're doing with Take a Knee. Take a Knee has found a nice little landing spot where the legends are made. Legends are born and legends will become legends, and that means I'm coaching at the University of Laverne. Yes, we're going to make kids great over there. We're going to turn the program heading to exactly where Coach Crete has it heading is forward. So it's not about just getting and plateauing out over there. And the few days I've been there, I recognize that, hey, it's an elevation. It's the mindset and the things I think we're doing is going to get us into the right step. So, Coach Crete, I'd like to say thank you because now we got something to shout out about what Take a Knee is doing. Besides just the training of the kids, we're back on the football field doing it the right way, Coach. Thank you. And
thank you, Coach. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. And guys, we're here. We're here because we want to be able to open up the relationship, keep it going again. We want to be able to present different topics and different tools now, as we mentioned with the nines down in Canada. So we're going to be the guys that created it, the guys that got the templates, going to be able to be there and share it all with you, Boyda. So we want to introduce Boyda. He's going to talk about the Yorkton camp and the relationship that we've built over these last 7 years. But more importantly, he's going to be able to introduce his crew and the group that's going to be able to make things great during the camp.
Yeah, so we're back. After 2.5 years, we're finally back. Yeah. We're looking to it. We're looking forward to it so much because it's been 2 years too long, right? And I'm just excited that we're finally back. And you talk about the relationship. I just want to talk about that first and foremost, right? Because we all love football. We love the game. It's the best game ever, right? But the relationships for me, and I know for the rest of the coaches, that's first and foremost. So like when I talk about the relationships, kind of have 3 F's, faith, family, and football. And my friends are my football ex-players, coaches, right? Anyone that's following football, they tend to be my close friends. I think that's a great thing, right? Because I love being around football people. So going back to the relationship part, when I first met Coach Coco, we were hosting a camp here. My mom died like within 2 weeks before the camp started, and we're on the field. Coaches are coaching their butts off, and we take them to our local watering hole, and everyone's having a good time. And I'm trying to have a good time, but you lose your mama, it's just not the same, right? And I'll never forget, that relationship I built with Coco. Kind of put his arm around me, and he's like, "What's wrong, Boyda?" I kind of spilled him the beans, right? And he experienced something as well, similar to myself, right? He lost his mom as well. And he just kind of opened up and we had a good heart to heart. And it just made me feel really connected to Coco and to the other coaches. And it just really, I needed it at the time. And Coco was there for allowing me to, cry my tears in my beer and hear me out and give me some good advice and stuff like that. I've never forgotten that. And it's meant the world to me. And it goes with all the coaches. Like Coach Donaldson, him and I were roommates with Team Saskatchewan, right? And, he played in the CFL. And here I am, his roommate, defense backs coach. So I was kind of like, a little nervous around him and stuff like that. And then we just kind of hit it off and we've been really good buddies. And unfortunately, he can't be at our camp this weekend to coach because he's got to coach. They got their spring football with the University of Regina Rams. And so we've kept in touch and he's someone I can always bounce back ideas on that I love being around. I can absorb so much information from. I had him speak at my school. He was fantastic with our students. And once again, it goes back to the relationship. And then this past year with Selects, we went down to Texas, right? I got to meet Nick Lewis. Now, Nick Lewis played in the CFL. He's a first-time CFL Hall of Famer ballot, right? And my butt actually clenched up when I was around him because I was nervous, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to embarrass myself because this guy is just a wealth of knowledge. And finally, when I got to know him, because he had zero ego, right? He provided me with fantastic insight. Because here I am, I'm the head coach of the team, and I'm offensive coordinator, and I got this awesome football player that has probably forgotten more football than I know, and he was so humble about it, and no ego at all, and was just there for me. That once I started to get to know him and built a relationship with him, I relaxed a little bit, right? I could be myself, and I didn't have to put on a show because he just kind of just accepted me for who I was, right? And then, he didn't big time me, which I just respect greatly. And now I call him up all the time. Like earlier before this podcast, we talked and I kind of thought it would be a 5-minute conversation because he's a very busy guy. Well, here we talked for like almost a half hour and it was just football, right? And I really appreciate his time, right? Because I bought, time's the ultimate thief, right? You can always make money, but you never make up time. And I value Nick Lewis for that, right? And then Craig Zinkota, he played at Minot State. I played at Minot State, right? He's from Yorktown. I was born and raised in Regina, and we just kind of hit it off because of football, right? And we built a great relationship. And he's one of my best buddies, right? And I love that guy, right? He's just awesome dude. And I can't say enough good things about him as well, And then there's Heidi, right? So Heidi, if anybody doesn't know Heidi is the backbone, and she's the pillar of this football camp, and pretty much football here in the great city of York. That she does all the behind the scene things at a very humble and graceful manner in doing it. And without her, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And so I love her. I love her to death. Right. And then, if we look at like Coach Logan, who's going to be part of the camp, right? Well, he's National Coach of the Year at the high school level, right? Like he is a good dude, good dude, but also great football coach that comes all the way up to small town Saskatchewan, 20,000 people, and to share his knowledge with the crew that we have, right? With our kids, right? And that's the one thing that I found with all these coaches that I've been working with, it's kids first, right? They're first and foremost, right? And that's what Coach Lewis was talking about earlier today. It's about the kids, right? And those are the coaches that we have coming to this camp, right? And then, we got Coach Burns, all right? Well, he's a fantastic coach as well, right? He is the way he works with that offensive line, because offensive line is such a specialty, right? With their techniques and their footwork, right? And the way he sees their movement and the way he does corrective feedback and the way he interacts with the kids. Our kids are like our O-line kids that go on from his coaching, right? Benefit not just at our high school level. We have 2 players that we're going to celebrate this Saturday when you guys all come to our football night in Saskatchewan, that are expected to be drafted this year in the CFL, right? Our Noah Zare, he's expected to be drafted in the mock drafts. They had him at 9th, they've had him at 7th, and the most recent one, they have him drafted 3rd overall, right? So, and he was coached by Coach Burns, right? He did attend this camp, right? The coach that we have shared his knowledge. And then the other offensive line, Peter Kazushka, he's expected to go in the later rounds, but another offensive line that played at University of Alberta, that came through our program, that went through the camp and stuff like that, that's going to benefit from you coaches sharing your wealth of knowledge, and not so much just the knowledge, but the relationship and the connections. Because I know a lot of players would text after the camp to like Coach Napoleon, right, Coach Coco, and those coaches always responded back to them immediately. It's not like, hey, the camp's done, it's over with, we move on. No. It's totally a relationship that lasts for a very long time, right? And that's something that we value and we truly believe in, right? And then the other two coaches that we got coming up are with the Regina Thunder, which is the Canadian Junior Football League. We got Brian Boyda will be coaching the running backs, and we have Matt Rumpel that'll be coaching the defensive backs, and they're good dudes as well, right? Like we have an all-star coaching staff in our small little community, which I'm very thankful and appreciative, and I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be a great time.
You know, Boyd is right there, and he gives everybody all the props. But Coach Lewis, he talks about, you're the guy. You're probably just like me. I can't wait to get around Boyd. You know, he's the guy that took a team to a state championship. You know, he's the guy that brought a community from the ground to the crown. You know, and he had the vision to recognize that, you know, if I can get more help and be able to be as open to be able to say, hey, I need the help, and then take the tools and the rags that come with it to polish it and put it in the toolbox. And it's been an incredible relationship just to be able to know that we have a 365 relationship. I mean, it's every day of the year that they're part of our family right here. So I feel very comfortable. I'm glad that you talked about Heidi, because without Heidi, we're not going to be able to get there safely. We're not going to be able to make sure that we know our minutes are, you know, she's the perfect wife. She's the perfect mom person for us to go there, because she takes care of our time and it's well coordinated. And then we've been able to arrive home safely there and back, and it's been an incredible journey. And it's Heidi, I'm just grateful for some of the things that you do for us, and getting back over there, it's incredible. So a gentleman that we have on, he's introduced already, is Coach Creek. Coach Creek's he's a head coach at the University of Laverne. I've coached with him before, but more importantly, and this last few weeks that we've been in spring camp, he did some incredible things. I mean, just the connection that he has, the electricity that he brings once he walks onto the field. It really is something special. And the more I'm starting to talk to the community and people, I'm getting excited to tell kids about what we're doing at the University of Laverne, because I know once they get over there, they're going to be able to meet Coach Crete, and man, it's something special. I know Coach Ty had mentioned about just standing over there, and Coach, he mentions how you recognize everybody that's in your stadium, you know, and that presence to go there and make them feel comfortable because of the way you embrace. It's really important. So we got Coach Crete here, and one of the main reasons, Boyda, I wanted to bring Coach Crete on, guys, Craig and you guys over there, is for the simple fact is he's a head coach at a university here in California. But more importantly, I think there's some windows of opportunities that are there for some of your kids that have it, you know, and they have the opportunity to maybe get over here. So I think, Coach, if you can, just touch base a little bit about the program, and if we can, Boyd, let's ask a few questions and see what we can do, and just to open up this window of opportunity.
Great. Well, I think one of the things, Coach Boyd had talked about was relationships and the importance of relationships. And, when you're head football coach and you've been around, I've been a coach at the University of Laverne now for 11 years. And so, kind of recognize everybody, but creating relationships has been the biggest thing that we've tried to develop at our place, and try to teach to our young men, that network is far more important than some of the stuff that they maybe learn at the university. I don't know, but it's all about that connection and building those bonds.
Awesome. So, hey, Coach, what would you think would be the first thing, or say the most important thing that a student entering to his senior year and thinking about coming to the United States to play?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, the one thing that's really important, number one, is kind of before the senior year. It has to do with with grades. Obviously getting the opportunity to get the grades up and have a transcript that's going to be attractive to any coach. That's the first thing to get your foot in the door is that transcript. And the nice thing about schools like us is that we have those the ability to read international transcripts. All of our schools have someone that is directed towards the transfer or the international students, and that's the first thing that we want to make sure we do is find that attractive transcript. That's through the whole body of work. Sometimes some guys will get there and senior year might be too late. It's hard to turn on senior year because you're trying to make a decision while they're still in the middle of their senior year. And so most of that stuff happens, that freshman, sophomore, junior year is when it's what we're going to be reading off that transcript. And that's one of the things that we do is, we really, recruit off the transcript and kind of give us a little bit of taste of what that student's about. Sometimes we'll have guys that may not have the best GPA, but, we look at their body of work. So if they go from, struggling in their freshman year, sometimes, a lot of times guys will have a struggle in their freshman year, but there's a consistent, pattern that goes up, that tells us a lot about that student athlete, and his ability to adjust and then work his way into becoming a great student. Pretty easy to accept that student. If a student's the opposite, and that tells us a little bit of a different story, what's going on with that person and that student and, what's happening in his life that's going to make, bringing his grades down. So that's the one thing is we kind of start off with the transcript, and then from there, it's going to be, getting them on campus. I think, for any of us coaches, the one thing specifically small schools like us is trying to get the right fit and we want to bring, students onto our campus, and as a coach, we start talking to the players, at the time of, obviously their sophomore, junior and senior year, but for us, it's more like we really start recruiting their senior year, and trying to, see if it's going to be the right fit. If they're looking for a big school, we may not be the right fit. But if you're looking for a school that's, that's similar to a lot of the other schools in our conference of, small classroom sizes and have an opportunity to be a big fish in a little pond, it's a great opportunity to get a great education, have some fun playing some college football. So, that's kind of what we're about. And I think the only other thing is, with the recruiting aspect, specifically with the international, it has to do with the financial aid aspect, and what's the option, what the student's going to be able to afford, because there's some, there's not the state and federal grants that a lot of the other students, are able to get. So the funding then, becomes the next challenge, after the, student says, hey, this is the school I'd like to, to take a look at, if they get accepted, then we go through the financial aid process, and that will be the next step, through that. So hope that generates some questions there, Coach Boyda. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents, especially from Saskatchewan, going to say like California, I know obviously education would be number one priority, and I think the smaller classroom, like the professor to student ratio, is a big factor, and of course all the programming that would be offered, because education's first, because you can never take that away, right? And so that'd be a big thing with especially kids from in our area, anyways.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think the going from such a long distance, you want to make sure that there's opportunities to be successful, and I think that's where schools like us, we have that ability for students to be a little bit more successful from the standpoint of that small classroom size. I mean, we're a 16-to-1 student faculty ratio. Our average class size is 19. My wife teaches at the university, and that's the one thing I always notice about her. She knows all of her students, whether they're a football player or not, doesn't make a difference. Like, all of her students, she gets to have a relationship with them. To talk about our area, I mean, we're in a great area here of, Los Angeles and Southern California. And I think that's the other thing too. It's like, a lot of us small schools are very, networked in these areas. And so, for a student to come from, Canada or along those lines or anywhere, a lot of us, also it's like, could you see yourself living there after you graduate? Because that's where our connections are. That's really truly what small schools are about. We're ingrained in Southern California. And I talk about that a lot of times with recruits around the area. They're saying, well, hey, I'm looking at this school up in Washington, or I'm looking at this school out in the Midwest. And I'm like, great, but remember, they're ingrained in that area too. So, the chances of you after you graduate, that's probably going to be the spot where most of your networking is going to be at. So that might be where your first job is going to be. If you're okay with that, you want to live there afterwards, that might be a great option for you. So those are things we know, I think one of the advantages that we have where we're located.
Oh, for sure.
Coach, so if we were to, just by listening to you, the guidelines in a sense is, late is not what we want to be. Do we want to get these kids in this camp, like Coach Lewis said. We're listening to him. These kids in the camp are the ones that need to hear this. The parents need to hear this, or something, or have something, and that's why we're going there with some PowerPoint stuff to give you guys, because if they can arm themselves and start itching away early, then you have a more of a grip as you grow right there. Is it something that can really happen? I think the next step for us to do is just making sure that we have maybe the top 5 things for we can get into your hands, and then that'll kind of in a sense be the seeds that we need to drop, and that's what needs to be watered for we can harvest it.
Yeah, and then also it's a really good thing at our camp with Coach Nick Lewis being there, right? Someone that's been there, that's done it, playing in the U.S. system that we kind of lean on, and the kids could reference to. Hey, Coach Lewis.
That's it, brother. Just understanding the whole recruiting process. I'm originally from Texas, so growing up in Texas and just going through the whole process of recruiting, I was a D2 walk-on. That's now, like Boyda was saying, the 22nd first ballot Hall of Famer in CFL history, and I still live here. I've trained kids in Texas at all different positions since 2008. I've worked with athletes like Jace McClellan at Alabama.
Than you expected.
I've worked with Money Parks, you'll notice, at Utah next year, and quite a few others. But, I just enjoy working with kids and just giving them the knowledge and understanding of, what it really takes to get to the college level. I tell parents all the time, it's cheaper to pay for training than it is to pay for college, right? So let's get kids trained up. Let's get them educated and, better prepared for the world, and how can we support each other?
That's good stuff.
Awesome. So we really want to thank you guys for doing what we do with the kids, but really, one guy can have a thought and we have the wrong guys out there. The thought doesn't work. One guy have the thought, and then you get the right guys out there with the same type of chemistry, then the message is really flowing. So, Coach Crete, we really want to thank you for giving us some of those guidelines on what the kids need to do. Coach Ty, I see that you're sitting there and you get to hear it. You've been right there. And Coach Ty has a young his youngest son. His son Siavi is a guy that's possibly there. He is right there. Siavi's a beast. I really think that kid's a scholarship kid. So he's got to know the process. So. Ty, and listening to Coach Crete, does that help you a little bit in adding some of those things to your toolbox?
Yeah, definitely. Those are information that a lot of these parents don't even know about. So just to be around that is a plus. So thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Awesome, Coach Crete. So like once again, we just want to thank you for taking time out. Coach Crete. One way or another, he found his way to be the head golf coach here at the college too. I know he stepped up because it was a need, but during that course of that need, he had to vacate a couple practices and do a few things, and having trust in the staff, we're able to get through it. But he's back on board, and then to be able to put time off. His son Jackson's playing in the little leagues and stuff, and just to be away. Just want to say thanks, Coach, to giving what we do right here with the podcast the importance of your time. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem, Coco. And I tell you what, Coach, I made sure I checked the film when I got back right off the bat. See how we did, on defense when I got back. So, it looked all right. I'm a little sunburnt though now. So, but yeah, the film looked good yesterday.
Awesome, Coach. Thanks a lot. And as we get this thing to head forward, and everybody's in a sense try to create that finish mindset. To get that A in the class, what are your steps? What are the harmonic steps that get you to the finish point? So how important is it for us to really accept the knowledge that we get from just in a sense talking to people? You never know when we used to always say, Coach Lewis, we used to always say at the beginning of the podcast when we first started, come and listen and see the gems and the nuggets that are going to be dropped. Pick one up. But then as we started to really get a feel on what we do, we started to measure the gems and nuggets and recognize that they're just a fragment of what was once something great. And really, if we wanted it to grow, and it says it in a good book, man, one day we just in the podcast recognized that the gems and the nuggets were really not gems and nuggets; they were really seeds. So we pride ourselves in the seeds that the coaches from Canada is going to drop, and the seeds that Coach Creek's going to drop, and the seeds of project. But more importantly, when we look at that and we get to water those seeds, and then we get to see those seeds harvest, and really, you're talking about kids that Coach Lewis that are at the level of posturing themselves in the community as a student athlete, and you're able to see that seed get planted and that seed grow. You're able to nourish it, and now it's being harvested, and that's what we do with this podcast. So, the knowledge that we have gotten, which creates, hopefully, in the time that we've done things over there at Yorkton and the camps, hopefully we provided some solid fundamentals, and within that, help get out of a plateaued mindset where you're always thinking about elevating and progressing. I like to say the group that we take over there, and when we leave, there's been some elevation and some progression, and there's been some seeds that have been dropped, because we know damn well when we get home, we recognize the harvest of the seeds that we brought home from you guys. It's been an incredible experience in that thing, But as that knowledge goes, I'm gonna Boyda. I'm just gonna mention a name real quick, and just what kind of your thoughts when you hear about Matt Logan?
A legend. Matt Logan is a legend. Like when I was talking to Coach Lewis earlier today before the podcast, after our practice, and we come back to either my house, right, and we have a few beverages, I'm going to kind of grab my little notebook and snuggle up between Lewis and Coach Logan and just hear them talk and just copy things down, right? Because their football insight, their football knowledge is second to none what I've been around. And I'm so forward looking to that, because what I've been to a lot of practices, professional practices, university, junior, high school, of course, and I've never seen more efficient and effective practice at any level than what Coach Logan does. And he's a legend at it, right? That's the best word that comes to my mind, is a legend.
Awesome, Coach. I've had the opportunity for the last 5 years to be part of his staff. When we came up here to Canada, when we left, he called me a week later and gave me that opportunity. And man, it was a blessing to be able to see how so many moving parts can move that fast at one time. Man, my tempo was just picked up. It's crazy how that can just end up in your fiber and it becomes who you are. So I like to say 5 years ago I was a different coach, and today I'm a better coach because I've been around Coach Logan, the legend himself. And Craig, we've been going up there a few times, and it seems that we're going to be going up, and Coach Assur he's gonna take over the D-line duties this coming year, because Coach Napoleon, believe it or not, and you'll probably believe it, he forgot where he left his passport. Right? Thank God his head's hooked up on him, otherwise he'd be here. But when you hear Philip Napoleon, Coach, what can you say about him?
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Well, that's my brother from the States. I mean, I talk to Coach Napoleon all the time. We compare defensive line notes. That's kind of my core position, coach and stuff. But one word that I can use to describe him is passionate. He is very passionate about teaching fundamentals to football players and getting the most out of them all the time. And it's like 7 years. I can't believe you said 7 years you guys have been coming up here. I mean, I learn something every time, all from all you coaches, not just Napoleon. But I mean, when you talk about an intense, passionate defensive lineman player, I mean, Coach Napoleon is tops in everybody's books. Everybody loves Coach Napoleon. He just brings that intensity. The players love him. And he's also has a way that you can teach a defensive lineman to play mean and clean, to play it in a positive way, but still be aggressive and be positive about it. So, there's so many little things that I've learned from him over the years, and he's passed on to players, and that I've added to my toolbox as a way to help be a better position coach for the players I coach. So, yeah. So you talk about passion, talk about, call it nice aggressiveness, whatever you want to phrase it. That's Coach Napoleon for sure.
Awesome. Coach Napoleon is like a real good friend of mine. I actually, his brother and I played football together. His brother was my defensive line coach for 11 years. But when I moved up to Los Angeles, Philip got into the coaching. So he's been my guy that I've been coaching with for about 20 plus years. On the side, it's been awesome. Guys, there's another gentleman that's been going up there with us consistently. Is Coach Burns. Boyda, can you touch base on Coach Burns and how he's affected the community there at Yorkton?
Yeah. The word I would use for Coach Burns, communicator. He is such a great communicator with the kids, right? The way he speaks, he's very articulate, right? The players are dialed in, they're locked in, right? And he's such a technician with the O-line, because the O-line is so fundamentally sound. They get the most individual time than any other group, right? Because, we're always coaching and schemes, this and that, and the O-line are always off doing their own thing, right? He is fantastic at communicating, fantastic at motivating, because, hey, whoever grows up wanting to be an offensive lineman, right? Nobody ever says, I want to play O-line, right? Well, maybe the odd kid, but for the most part, everyone wants to play quarterback, receiver, linebacker, whatever, right? But nobody wants to start off as O-line. And he gets the best out of his O-line. Like I said, great communicator, right? Technician, he's very knowledgeable, and gets the most out of his O-line, right? Because we all know the offensive line is the heart and soul of any football team. And the way your O-line goes is usually how your season goes. And he does a fantastic job with his group of guys that he has. Obviously, because look, we got guys going into the CFL, so he played a small part preparing them into their hopefully professional football career.
Awesome. When you hear take a knee, guys, I got Ty. You can jump in on that. But when you hear take a knee, what comes to mind into you guys' souls?
Was that, Coach? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said when you hear take a knee, what comes to your mind in take a knee in regards to what it provides for student athletes?
Oh, it's everything. Just what it means. Truly accepting knowledge. Every day after practice, how you get all the students together, all your athletes together, and take a knee and you ask them every time, what did you learn today? What did you learn today? And to me, to get the kids involved in that, and it's just, football teaches them a whole different level of knowledge. It's really beyond football. So that's what I take every time I'm around you, Coach Coco, and take a knee. It's really the knowledge that we gain from getting taught on the football field, and how we can really take that into our everyday life. And I learn every time I'm with you. So that's my take on take a knee.
Awesome. As we move on, we all in a sense have a work to win mindset. So we don't work to lose. So that work to win mindset is something that's embedded, and within that, there's a championship vision that comes with it. And when you first started, what did you see in what we did to want to bring us back, Boyda? Because for me, when one truly recognizes their own value, they get to embrace it. And sometimes, we had a couple guys on a podcast a few weeks ago, and they said that when you go to a celebration of life, people talks about the value of, say, a Nick Lewis, the value of Boyda, the value of Craig. After the fact, some of the things they say that I've said, the guy might have never even known that his value was that embracing. So when you can literally let people know, and this guy's amazing when he said that. He goes, when you can just let people know about their value, they might not even know, man. It can change their lives, and they embrace it. So when I look at having a championship vision, is what did you see in you talk about Matt Logan's football, you talk about Kunani's communication, and you talk about all that stuff, but there's always something more than just what the guy does on the field, than what his passion is and what his hobby is or what his job is. Those are things that he does. But really, what value do you grab out of there and making sure that, man, that's what I need to go from the ground to the crown?
It might sound a little corny, right? But it was a genuine love, right? The best word that comes to my mind is the genuine love for the players, right? That's the thing I value the most, was the genuine love for the players, because during that practice session, it was all about the players, and not just the ones that are like all Canadian. The bottom part, you can tell they're not going to be that good of a football player. The love was given to the same for the top as it was to the bottom, and that's what I truly value the most. Was corny, but that's how I feel.
And listening to his response, how do you react to that, Chris? Craig.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, from the first time when you guys came up to Canada and stuff, it was such a unique departure from what we were used to, from going to like a coaching clinic or having a guest coach in. For me, you take all that knowledge, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. And I really sat back and looked at myself as a coach and said, boy, I have a lot to learn. And that's what started, having, more in-depth conversations after the camps and during season and stuff like that. And just, becoming a better coach, so you can hand those tools over to your players and stuff to say, this is what you need to do to get better. So it all goes hands in hand. So like I said, it's a full circle relationship, whether it's, from the coach and just sharing ideas, sharing knowledge, to, then sharing that knowledge with love and respect of players, just like Jason said. And the feedback I get, I've been working really hard the past month here, signing kids up for the camp and stuff. There's so many parents even commenting now, like, oh my gosh, we're so excited to have those guys back. It's been so long since they've been here. So the impact that you had in the community, when we say, hey, our California connection is coming back to coach up the kids, they're all excited about that. And we're drawing from a very large area in the province here. I mean, we have people driving 150, 200 miles just to come to this camp for the weekend. So that shows you the level of respect that they have for Coco and the rest of the coaches that come up, and that they want to participate. in receiving some of that knowledge and like Boyda said, some of that love and sharing and fellowship.
You know, I think that's awesome because in a sense, it's that foundation. You know, and the foundation is what you can truly just hang your hat on. And when you have that go-to kind of spot, you know, there's a comfort in it. So when we went there, what we did is we established a foundation, and you guys we were all growing at the time. So all the pillars that was up to make sure that it was totally solid, we were all had our hands on. We were all on the court. We were all present. And being present, we cling to each other's gems. We cling to each other's seeds. You know, we started to nourish them. And now we're back to get it again. We're ready to start another field there. Nick Lewis is going to be involved. We're gonna get it all done. You know, but as we get to that point, you get to leverage your strengths as a GPS for those that you inspire. You know, and when that comes about, and you talked about Boyda, some of the kids now, they're your friends. So and as coaches, you know, you become that GPS. You become that GPS that kind of guides them. Coach Creech, you know, he's been there 11 years. He's affected thousands of lives because he's been that GPS. You know, and I think we're all in a situation where we could posture ourselves to make sure that the human beings that are in front of us just fulfill what he made them to be. He never created nothing less than great. And that's what we have in front of our hands right there. You know, I had a coach says, when my mentor, he says, it goes, when I got the job at the high school that we were at, his job was just not screw it up because he inherited a great program and not mess up the vibe. So really, we're in the same deal, not mess it up, and really get those people to recognize that, hey, we're not here to create no finished mindset. They've already got it. We're just here to introduce them to the person I got them that. That way they can live that finished thing. You know, they can live within their pattern. They can be that guy that won the race and that champion that he is. And that's what the GPS does for us as a coaching staff. I think as a unit, we go to Canada with that type of inspiration, and you guys had hit it. I still get emails and texts from Hayden. He hasn't played football in 3 years, and we're still in communication. His parents, you know, all those people. It's an incredible journey that we launched into. So, you know, I think what's really important is and I noticed is that keeping your loyal circle on the same page and not easily letting people break that barrier to jump in. And the consistency of us going down there, the same people who's kind of been there, Boyda, is made it very, very comforting for us to know that we're walking into a solid home. You know, there hasn't been no separation. So how important is that for you to be successful, to keep that consistency of your team loyal, but making sure that they understand that they're always going forward with you?
Yeah, it's just the progress, right, or the process, right, and it just continues. And I'm so excited with the coaching staff that we have for this camp, and like I can't tell you how grateful I am that Nick Lewis is coming, because I didn't have to twist his arm that much, right? I didn't have to twist his arm because he is a dude, and I can't afford to bring him in with us. And I'm losing, like, I have a hard time explaining my excitability because the process to me and the journey with the coaching staff that we have assembled and how much our community is going to benefit from it, for the kids, from the top level coaching that we're going to get this weekend, and the fun, right? Because football is meant to be fun, and the fun that we're going to have for the players, for us coaches, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great weekend, Coco. And I hope when you go back to California, you can talk it up and we live up to the expectations of putting on a good football camp first and most for the kids, and being a fantastic host to each and every single one of you. And it's just going to be a good time. It's about time.
And yeah, it's really about time. So when we look about time, we're down to the 2-minute warning of a football game. You know, and when you get to the 2-minute warning of a football game, there's a few things that's going to happen. You know, and really they're deadlines. You know, you either got to maintain the first, get a first down. You got to, so a few things got to happen. But how do you handle deadlines peacefully when they're yours or they're not yours, but just plain do? How do you keep everybody embraced and during that course and keeping them hungry? You know, so in saying, yes, you could pray, but within those deadlines, how do you handle them? Because you guys we're getting close to a deadline, and I know you're in crunch. I'm in crunch. My wife says I haven't packed the damn thing, so I got to leave here and then go out. I got a Zoom meeting with linebackers right after this, so you know I've got to be able to live a Tetris life and make sure everything falls right in place where it falls in place.
You better get it together then,
right? So, you know, Nick, how do you handle deadlines? What do you do to making sure that it's right and keep everything peaceful?
Always mindset and mentality, brother. You know, it's how you attack life, right? Things will happen. You got to just keep going forward, understanding that, you know, always know that preparation is key, and just always be prepared to take that next step. And when it comes down to any type of deadline, whether it's someone else's deadline or your own deadlines, and just understanding that, just take your mindset and put it in a place to where you understand what you want to accomplish, right? And that's the most important part, understanding what you want to accomplish and then being able to go out and execute it.
My brother, that's a seed that needed to be dropped tonight. That is a seed that needed to be dropped tonight. Thank you very much. And Coach Crete, I'm going to let you, because you're the head coach, so the last play of the game, Coach. Last play of the game. And we want you to leave something that's going to resonate not just with people that are listening right now, but when we play this thing back and people in Canada, people in neighboring neighborhoods in California, the states around in Hawaii, what do you leave for those that resonate in elevating their journey and enhancement for their program and their life?
Yeah, well, man, leave it up to me. Here we go. You know, number one thing, you know, I think it's really important for us to lead these kids, and you know, one of the things that I try to stress, and we try to stress, it's about developing a commitment strategy. You know, when we're talking about, you know, a finish, you know, it's a commitment strategy, not an exit strategy. We're trying to get our guys to commit to what we're doing, you know, and follow through with what we want to do. And that's how you get to the end. You gotta be committed. You gotta be committed as a group. You gotta be committed as a, you know, the plan may not be the right plan, but you got to go all in on it. You got to commit to it, you know, and those are the things that, you know, especially on that last play, you know, you got to make that commitment.
Coach, that's awesome, because I think it really runs into play what you said about what's written in front of the shirts, HWPO. Can you touch on that for the guys can hear that?
HWPO, it's our motto. Hard work pays off, you know. We may not, you know, we're not always going to be the most talented team out there, but, you know, one thing we can't control is control our work, you know, our effort. We control, you know, our minds, we control our bodies, we control those things. But we got to put ourselves, you know, you know, to make sure no one outworks us. And we really feel that if you work hard enough and you do things the right way, you know, it's going to pay off in the end. You know, once again, you got to commit to it.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you very much. And with that, I've been saying for about 20 years, tack time all the time. That's truly accepting knowledge. When you could take a knee, and Nick, you're taking a knee, I'm taking a knee. What we do is we just embrace each other's seeds that were there, and they become part of our fibers. So we did it. Tag time all the time. Add a hashtag on that. So we're done with that. And now, once again, we want to thank Tony Jefferson for giving us that opportunity to have this show tonight. We want to thank you guys for spending some time to making sure that it's important that this show it happened the way it happened. Without your presence, it would not have been what it is. I think it's a great show. And our next guest is going to be Chris Ball. Chris Ball's the CEO and founder of Ball Farms. I coached him back in 1997 and 98. He was All-American for me as a linebacker. He went on to play at Cal Berkeley, and then from there he went and played on some NFL football, a little bit of Europe football. But he's also an entertainer kind of guy. And what's cool about Chris, he's going to be on our show next week, is Chris is the only African American that owns his own marijuana business, and he's been on Fortune magazine. He's an incredible. His transition in his life is incredible. So we're going to bring him on and see just exactly the transitions and the pivots that he's taken in life. As a high school, they won a national title. When he went to JC, we won a national title. He was a Pac-10 champion out of that thing. So the guy's a winner, and he's going to be able to share his transitions and pivots and how his life has elevated even during the course of the time of the pandemic. So Chris Ball's going to be up, and once again we want to thank you guys, Boyda. We want to thank you guys very much for being on, and we want to end it with the Boyda song. All right, awesome guys. It was done. Thanks a lot. A little tag time all the time.
All the time, tag time, all the time, come on, tag time, all the time, tag time, all the time, come on. I take a knee, I take a kid and make him see, make believe in chasing his dreams and destiny, truly accept the knowledge of part of the recipe. In order to have an impact, I first must invest in me. We sowing seeds, locally, globally, overseas, integrity, dignity, yeah, we living by both of these. The season my players had to take a knee to cope with these. The police keep taking knees on our neck, how we supposed to breathe. Now look at me, I'm leading the movement like Booker T. Let's look at the aftermath when Kaepernick took a knee, when MLK took a march, Coretta Scott took a seat. I look defeat in the eyes and I declare victory. I'm walking long, I go for the gusto, that's 6 for me. Right when I cross the TV, I drop down and I take a knee. I'm giving God all the glory for giving the grace to me. Like I take a knee every morning and thankful for waking me. I take a knee.